Kia ora, Lara here, and I am working on a layout for my Groundhog Day hop. This was actually last weekend, but as it seems at the moment, some things are sort of taking a back seat, and scrapbooking and crafting seem to be one of those. I am in the process of getting re-familiarised with a new entrant or year one classroom, which is in New Zealand. It's 5-year-olds when they start school, and so it's just going back. I was last year working with year 6 and 7, which is almost sort of that intermediate age group. I have moved back to the juniors at my request. I love teaching this age, just that enthusiasm and the kids that actually really want to be there, and I just needed to find that joy of teaching again, and I'm loving it. So it seems that lots of my time is going into teaching that new level, and I'm actually really enjoying it. But today I am putting together the Groundhog Day layout, and this layout is based on one that I did on the 2nd of February last year and the 2nd of February the year before, and each year I have just been taking a photo of myself or using a couple of my recent selfies and putting these together into a layout of a really similar design. So I've sort of kept, you can see here the splatters in the background, and these papers that I have cut up fit with that same design as last year and the year before as well, where sort of almost half of the page is filled with a patterned paper, and then sort of a smaller strip, and then a zip strip size, so that's about 1/2 inch, a thin piece added on there. So I'm just going to add that green one in. This collection that I'm using is called Sweet Memories by Close to My Heart, and it's got a real antique-y, old, traditional kind of feel to it, but it's just filled with gorgeous kind of cameras and florals and butterflies and swirls and all the things that you can use to make some really cute pages. So I've kind of paired it. If you look at my photos that I'm going to use to the right there, they're kind of simple, where I sort of fill up most of them. And when you see that kind of contrast, when it all comes together, the photos still stand out from the background, yet it feels like the background fits. So just see how that comes together, but using the neutral colours with kind of these brighter photos with simple colours and blocked designs and things, it's that contrast or that lift. This collection that I'm using does have this gorgeous ledger paper, and as I'm using it here, I'm thinking, oh, why did I have to cut that up? It'll make a great background paper for another page later on, but here it is filling in a really nice space, and it's going to sort of be the backing paper behind a group of photographs. So I'm backing the papers with offcuts from the pieces that I've used on the right hand side of the layout. Normally I would just use scissors to chop these, however I don't know where they are right now, so I was just using the paper trimmer as I go. So that's sort of where I'm heading with the layout and where the pieces will all sit. And this piece of this these die cuts, I guess you would call them, are sort of a chipboardy kind of feel. They come in this single sheet. They're 6x12. There's just lots of more of those swirls, cameras, florals, hearts, tabs. There's a few that could make great titles and things like that too. So I toy with the idea of using these sort of swirls and things as my circular elements. So the original layouts that you saw at the start, I had a photo of them, or you can pop back to last year's Groundhog Day hop, or which will be here on my channel, or there'll be a link to it somewhere. Or you can check out my Instagram's got it as well. You'll be able to sort of find it, and I will try and share the other photos from previous Groundhog Day hops onto Instagram when I share this layout. But I wonder about using those, but then I remembered that there was a digital collection that comes with Sweet Memories, and it has sort of one of those old, if you ever used Viewmasters as a kid, I thought they were kind of cool. You put these sort of discs in the top of this little camera-like thing, and you click a button on the side, and it would move the disc around one image, and you'd see a story. And if some of the stories, you'd look down the bottom, and there'd be text. So you could actually read a book kind of through the twisting of this Viewmaster. So I end up cutting that on the Cricut, just out of some white daisy cardstock, and then this piece of paper here that I've just had to the right from backing this photo is sort of what I use to tuck in behind it. So it's got kind of a few different things. So here's the die cut or the Cricut cut from the collection. Now these collections, the digital collections, are I think $19 something, so almost $20, but they do have quite a few elements to them, including some layouts and a card, but you can separate those elements off from the layout or the card as well, or you can do it all in one piece. So they're kind of cool. There is in the die cut, in the Cricut cut, there was a backing piece that it would cut, but I just decided because I was only doing half of it, it was going to be just as simple to just back it myself. And so I'm just sticking it there, gives me that circular element, and I decide though that it's just too white, and I probably should have distressed it before I put it onto the page, but I decided I'm going to pull out some mulberry and one of my stencils, and I'm just going to add some stenciling in here and then tuck another few spots of stenciling as well, just to change the colour, to give a little bit more of an interest point in a couple of spots. And you'll see I've done that 3 times. I often do 3, so it sort of forms that wee bit of a triangle. So I've just changed that a bit, and I felt that it needed some gold splatters like I'd done at the very start when I was preparing the background. At the start I'd used both the gold from the gilt from the gloss sprays, but then I'd also used the gold from a shimmer brush. So there's a few different elements tucked in there as well. So I'm just wrinkling up the edges of this sort of biggish photo mat, and then I'm going to get ready to stick that down. I was just tucking the other pieces aside to let them dry out a little bit. So that's sort of going to sit like that once I put it all together, along with some of those swirly bits. I'm going to pull in some stamps, and I'm not sure which ones. There's some really cool stamps that came with this collection. I did end up getting all of them, both the card making and the scrapbooking, and I did wonder about using the stamp of the month, which was those gorgeous wee florals, and our stamp of the months now also come with the die cuts, which is pretty cool. I'm just going to stick this down and use what I've got, and then sort of work out the stamp situation before I finish up the page. So getting the photos stuck down, the mats down, wrinkling up some of those edges, and I decide to wait before I do the edge wrinkling, just until, because I won't need to wrinkle all of it, because some of it will be tucked under there, as you can see. So just pulling all those pieces up just to give it a bit more texture, and this was something that was in those original layouts as well. So now I'm pulling in the little pieces here from the die cuts, and I want a few of them, trying to work out what angles and directions to head in with that, because in the original layout there's sort of a cluster up to the top right, and I should have made sure that this glue, I put the lid on before when I had used it, but it is back to working now, which is good. So just putting a bit of pressure as I tuck that down, and I'm going to put one down the bottom here as well, just to add another sort of interest point, and the journaling will sort of need to go down somewhere down there. Thinking about the original title. Now the very first one had the title up to that top right where I did that stenciling. Previously, I think it was down to the bottom left. Sorry if you can hear my hen in the background. She's obviously just laid an egg, and she's pretty proud of herself. I'm going to pull out some of the stickers from the sticker sheet that comes with the collection, and I'm going to stuck, I think, a few of them just sort of up the top here, and then I think I will put one, I like this camera. I did have the die cut out before, and I'd contemplated using that, but I think this sort of sticker one here works better. There is also a stamp that's similar to this, and there's a Cricut cut as well. Now I'm going to use sort of these journaling tab kind of stamps here. I'm going to pop away and cut on the thin cut, just sort of 2 of the oblong ones. I'm not sure which one I'll use in the end, but we'll get that ready, and now I've got these cut, ready to do the stamping. So I've turned over my Versamat. This Versamat's really handy. It has got sort of a stamping side and a cutting and preparing side with all the measurements on it. So I've sort of lined up the stamp. The block's a bit bigger than I would normally pick, but I'm not sure where I've put the blocks that are a better size than this, and I'll clean those stamps later. Just using the intense black at the moment. It was just the one that was sort of at the top of the collection on my stamp pads in the shelf, so that's why I picked that one. No particular reason. So now I've got these 2 tabs and I'm just trying to sort of work out where and which one is going to be the best one to fit. Do I want both? Do I want just the one? And I kind of like that idea of something along the top there. But I'm just having a quick look here, thinking about what will fit. And I think the snapshot ones here will actually replace that one at the top. It was almost too dominating with the dark, with the black. It was sort of taking over from what it was. So just checking that those original layouts before I pop this down, thinking, okay, is this title material? What is this going to be actually for? But I decide that I'm going to pull out one of the die cuts. It's a die cut with a camera and it says smile, and I'm going to tuck that in so that it sort of goes onto that piece. That's a little bit of layering going on here. So here we find those die cuts, and here's this piece coming out here. I pull out a couple of the little rosettes as well, thinking that they will help to tie sort of those 3 areas together. And there's my smile, and I think it does fit nicely down there. So that gives me a little bit of a title as well. So I'm not sure if snapshots or smile was going to be it, but both fit with where we're going in this layout. So sticking down the smile, and then I'm going to pop down those those extra flowers as well. So Groundhog Day, I was disappointed in myself for not getting this done in time for the actual hop, but I am pleased I've finally got it done, and it's nice to be back sort of creating something again. I have got a scrapbooking weekend coming up next weekend, so I'm sort of feeling a little bit unprepared for that, having not been as creative or making things as much as I would, but I've still got some really gorgeous supplies ready to use. I've been sort of looking at the March collection. We've got a new book coming out, and new stuff's always pretty cool. The other collection that I've got that I haven't used yet is, I think it's called Love Notes or something like that, and that is one that sort of came out to do with Valentine's Day, but we don't do heaps with Valentine's Day here in New Zealand, so it will probably just get used for general pages and general layouts. And here we have some of the gems that I've just tucked in there, and I'm going to add just a little bit of journaling, just essentially saying that it's the 2024 Groundhog Day layout, because it's become a bit of a trend to use this, and I'm using that same design for each of them. This is part of a playlist, so you can just say on this playlist and the next layout, the next person's layout from the Groundhog Day hop should show up. I'm not sure if there'll be links below for some of those layouts. I'll see if in the hop they shared those, or whether it's just part of what is in that playlist. But thanks for watching. I hope I haven't rambled too much. Just appreciate you being here, and thanks again.